Hello everyone and welcome to the Ubuntu Touch Q&A. You're not late. This is late. The UBports Foundation show discussing the development of Ubuntu Touch and our community's questions. This is episode 76, streamed live on May 23rd, 2020. My name is Dalton and joining me this week are Florian.
Hello, I'm not
and
muted.
Alfred.
Hello.
All right, we have an excellent roundup of news that we're going to throw through real quick this week because we got a lot of questions to get to. So let's do it. First up on the news this week, Ubuntu Touch OTA 12 has been released. So, you've heard us talking about this for the last a lot of Q&As, and it's finally here. On May 13th, we finally released what we've been working on officially for 6 months, unofficially for a year and a half. In this update, we have the newest updates to Canonical, the newest updates to Unity 8 as made by Canonical, finally leaving behind the old dash and scopes and bringing to life the app drawer. Now we have a lot more than that to go into a lot more than that in this update, but we've talked all about that in our previous Q&A, so if you want to head back to Ubuntu Touch Q&A 75, the news about OTA 12 is right at the top. Continuing on. Another exciting thing coming, which should be, all going well, shipping on Monday, is the Pine 64 Pine phone.
Yay.
Pine 64 is shipping 4,000 to 4,500 Pine phones over the next 2 weeks. And all going well, people should start receiving them pretty quick. Of course, it varies depending on what shipping you've selected, where you are, and the global situation, since this is during the 2020 pandemic in your area. The Pine phone will be coming with voice call support, of course. We do want people to be testing that. If you've got your Pine phone Braveheart, I need you to help me testing everything now. So, phone calls, texting, everything that you can do on your Pine phone, give it a try, because we got to make sure that this image that people will be updating to when they get their Pine phone will be awesome. What I mean by that is we have the factory image on the Pine phone, and this one actually is running the factory image, which can auto-update itself as all of our other devices do, OTA updates. And we plan to have one of those available for when people start receiving these devices. We've got a lot of people receiving these things, some very prominent tech YouTubers included, so this one's pretty big.
Oh, yes.
So definitely, if you've got a Braveheart, I need your help a lot right now. And if you'd like to get your Pine phone, now is definitely the time to do it because let's just say they're getting kind of low. So over at pine64.org, you can pick up your very own Pine phone and see all the specs about it and help us out. We want to make this thing awesome. We want to make this thing the phone that you carry with you every day. And that is certainly the goal. And I don't plan on deviating from that. Of course, the special thing about the Pine phone is its running of the mainline Linux kernel, as opposed to many of our Android devices, which are running the kernel that they shipped with. And that's kind of the big selling point. And hopefully that means we'll be able to provide support for it for much longer than other devices. And indeed, after we do someday, maybe, stop supporting it, there'll be all sorts of community things available for it. Just like your laptops that can run mainline Linux now. Also in Pine 64 news this week, we have the Pine tab. So this was announced on the 15th. Now that I think about it, roughly coinciding with the OTA 12 release, that the Pine tab, it's called Early Adopters Edition, will be shipping with Ubuntu Touch. So I've got mine here running Ubuntu Touch. And this is the developer unit, which only, because of an accident, has 1 gigabyte of RAM. And it doesn't run so bad once you give it some swap space. Your device, though, will have 2 gigs of RAM, and those are going up for pre-order. It should be within the next week-ish, beginning of June, maybe. All going well again. Of course, if anything happens, just stay tuned to Pine64 Twitter, and of course, if you got questions, we're here to answer them, so let us know. The Pine Tab will be available for $99, along with a keyboard attachment that plugs into Poco pins on the bottom, of which I broke mine. Oops. That was another thing that got better on the early adopters edition. And you'll be able to see what's going on with the latest in Linux technology on the latest in Linux tablets.
One small addition for the keyboard, because it was asked already in the community. There is only an English keyboard layout at the moment, and that's probably not going to change for quite some time, because from Pine64 viewpoint, of course, there's additional stock keeping, SKU, and complexity adding to the shipping and so on. So unfortunately, for all non-native English speakers, for the moment, you can only have that. But of course, you could put tiny little stickers on the keys and then make your own custom local keyboard. I'm not sure if this will ever work, but
that was a suggestion in the thread. And of course, you can switch keyboard layouts in Ubuntu Touch with a physical keyboard. So it can be an English keyboard, but you can be typing Dvorak or whatever it may be.
Don't get distracted by the strange letters of English language, but yeah.
I know, we're weird. I'm sorry.
Or you could also just use a black Sharpie and just make an empty keyboard. That's good for training purposes, for blindly writing with 10 fingers.
All right. Yeah. So yeah, this thing's pretty cool. Oh, and you may ask yourself, what's running on your Pine Tab that we see there, Dalton? And this is the new update to the Open Store. Slap the microphone. The Open Store now has the ability to, you can sign into it, and then it'll manage the apps that you like to have on your devices for you. So you can see all of your apps. You can sign in and review apps now, so that you can give feedback to developers and give hearts and smiley faces and whatever it may be to your apps. The design has been completely revamped just in general, and Joanne did great work on this, including a convergent tablet view that allows you to see the app that you're viewing as you are in the store without needing to slide up and get in the way of everything. And it's just a really great update. I'm sure I've missed something that's going on in this update, because it is huge. It is a complete redesign, and it is great. I'm guessing you guys have been a little busy and haven't downloaded it yet. Is that correct?
Me?
Yeah.
I came across it some days ago, accidentally, by hitting Update All button, and suddenly I was thinking, what is that? Oh, it's the new Open Store. So yes, I have it already.
Excellent.
Yeah, I've been playing around with it as well, and it was just great. Just being used to the old UI and then seeing this it just looks like at first it seems like it was just a small update, but it's actually really cool. And seeing this on the phone or a tablet is really great.
Mm-hmm. And the tablet view is nice too. I like that a lot.
And I can see now that, for example, where is it? Looking for my one and only Love Teleports. I saw that there were already some ratings there. It has a heart. It has 21 hearts and 3 smileys. Whatever that is in currency of social credits or so. And it has 5 reviews. There is a French one. Well, I cannot understand it, but the last part means it functions tip-top. So, yeah, tip-top is good.
Oh, that's got to feel good.
Yes.
Nice work,
Thank
Florian.
you for the review, and thank you for the 21 hearts. And I like this. So hopefully the app developers are now really getting motivated to upgrade frequently and interact with the community. Getting nice reviews is always a nice encouragement.
Absolutely. And thank you again to the entire Open Store team, Brian, Joanne,
Yes.
everyone who's working on that. This is an
That was
awesome
a
update.
huge
Good work.
increment.
Yeah, they were working on that at the Sprint last year already, weren't they? Reviews
Yeah.
and such.
Reviews was since ever on the agenda, so yeah.
It's finally here. They did it. We did it.
Yep.
Continuing on with awesome apps this week, Seabass, the code editor for Ubuntu Touch, has returned as Seabass 2, the code editor for Ubuntu Touch and Sailfish. You can find it over on the Open Store, of course, open-store.io.
It looks like that. It has such a cute icon.
And this is a code editor for Ubuntu Touch, so it has syntax highlighting for 120 programming languages, I'm being told, as well as a convergent layout and a lot of niceties. I mean, it's the first release, but it's a very nice code editor for a mobile device, especially. Now, we've seen apps like this before. Alfred, you've got your own QML creator.
Oh yeah, right.
And this one doesn't do the QML creation stuff, but it does
Right.
syntax highlight a lot more languages and is more of a complete, I don't want to say integrated development environment. It's not an IDE, but it's more of that complete editor for all of your projects.
Yeah, I definitely have to take a look at this because I'm very interested in those kinds of tools, just having them on a phone or tablet.
And you got to get it quick because it's got light and dark themes.
Oh!
So yes, this is an early release, so he would love your feedback. You can find the support link on the Open Store page. That'd be a good place to ask questions and things rather than Open Store reviews, of course. But try it out on all your devices. Let him know what it's like, because he's only tested on the Xperia X. This is a triumphant return of an app for sure, because Seabass was something from, it seems like forever ago now. The original Ubuntu store had Seabass in it. Or no, the original Open Store, because it was unconfined. It couldn't be in the Open Store or in the Ubuntu store. It feels like it's been around for so long. It's great to see it back. And it's a native QML app this time. It's not what's it called? Apache. What was it?
Phone gap?
No,
What?
Cordova.
Cordova, yeah.
So yes, this is awesome to see. I'm glad to have it back. Up next in news this week, Alfred's going to give us a little update on what's going on in porting world.
Of course. The most prominent feature that we've gained is by the genius that is Irfan. Again, shout out to him. He's implemented fingerprint reader support into the OS. So he's implemented the Halium sites, components, and the biometry D stuff that was required to make fingerprint reading working again. This is for all the devices that are on Halium 9, and it works with both Keymaster 3 and 4. So both older device ports and newer device ports, depending on how your system is composed when you're trying to port, it should work out just fine. And I've been playing around with it myself. It works super quick on the Google Pixel 3a, and I can only imagine it works the same on other devices. So again, hats off. And the next big thing is, and I've been told that the term GSI, or generic system image, is kind of interesting to a few people. So I would just recap what the GSI is. So Irfan is working on a generic system image, which is basically something from the Android world, where you can have one system image that you can install on your device, and it works across a bunch of devices without requiring modifications specifically for the device at hand. The way that Irfan is doing this is he's shipping the to rootfs and a generic system image inside of a zip file that you can flash using TeamWin recovery project. And it works pretty well. It registers on the server as the same device, yet still probably something we will have to take a look into. But it works, and I've tested it on my Pixel 3a as well. It works pretty well there as well. What you do need to keep in mind, though, is that you need a compatible vendor image. So whenever you flash an Android stock image or custom-made vendor image, you might have to take a look at and experiment with different vendor images and installing them first, because we cannot or we don't ship the proprietary blobs ourselves in the GSI, or Irfan is not shipping them in the GSI. It's just the Android bits that are open source. And the vendor image, you will probably have to take a look at getting the right one, or maybe even patching it up yourself. But if everything is installed, it should give you a pretty well-working Ubuntu Touch system on your device.
Excellent. And that is for Android 8 and 9 devices, correct?
As far as I can tell, yeah. Mm-hmm. So 9 definitely, and 8 depends on what components. Yeah.
Yeah. So 8 is maybe, 9 is almost definitely.
Yeah, right.
Okay. So if you like some Android, you do need to compile your kernel and then give it a try. There's lots of discussion about that in @Halium on Telegram lately.
Yes. Thank you.
Excellent. Well, thanks for the Halium update.
Of course.
This has been your Halium update with Alfred.
Newsflash.
Yes.
All right, and now it's time to thank our sponsors for making all this possible. So, thank you to our infrastructure sponsors, including Private Internet Access, DigitalOcean, Smooze, and Packet.net, including the Works on ARM project, for making this whole thing possible. DigitalOcean this week just renewed our sponsorship. We contacted them, and it was almost immediately. They said, yep, we appreciate what you're doing. We hope you appreciate what we're doing. So I wanted to give them another shout out this week, because they're an awesome company. If you need a VPS, I wouldn't hesitate to send you there.
Yep.
That said, they're sponsoring us. But we have been so happy with how everything's been working on DigitalOcean. We can get our VPSs, we can get our spaces, which is S3 compatible storage, or just attach big drives to things when we need a lot of storage temporarily. It's very nice, and I like it. I'd also like to thank our community sponsors who have selected that level on Patreon, including Laurentine Tilleman, Renat Mirkolev, Milan Ilev, George Toma, Michael Dale Meyer, Guido Ornig, A. Thiel, Mark Johnston, Max Fielder, James H. Jackson Jr., and I see him in chat today. Hi there. Clover, and Jaden. If you'd like me to mispronounce your name as well, possibly taking a couple tries at it in one go, you can head over to patreon.com/UBports. Or if you'd like to see all the other ways to donate, you can head over to ubports.com/donate. We do have options that are available for SEPA bank wire transactions, which can be tax deductible depending on your jurisdiction. So if you like that kind of thing, or if you have larger amounts, because smaller amounts you don't need a receipt from us, but if you have larger amounts that you want to donate, tax deductible is possible. But I won't go on too much about that. Just huge thank you to everyone who has been donating. It's making it possible for us to hire several people full-time, and we're looking at expanding the number, just saying right now. So stay tuned for that. Hopefully some good things come from that. So, as our thank you, let's answer some questions, shall we?
Yes.
Yes.
We take these questions from our forum over at forums.ubports.com, and the live link and everything is posted there about a week before the show, so you can get your questions in early and we'll answer them right here live.
Good.
Let's start.
Yeah. Nico Fe wants to know, Qt 5.9 will be end of life on 30th of May 2020. It's the current version that we are using on our images. How's the upgrade going?
Well, not Nico Fee, if that is your real name. The Qt upgrade, of course, we're holding... Okay, I can't really say we're holding back on purpose. It's one of those things that we know needs to be done, and will be done indeed. But right now, the work is not ongoing. That's another thing that, remember that team size expansion I was talking about, will really help with. That's one of those things we'd like to look at after OTA 13, where we will be merging a lot of work that's been going on, cleaning up some technical debt that we have incurred over the launch of the Pine phone, as well as OTA 12 itself. Then we'll be able to focus on that kind of thing. There are, of course, upgrades to individual Qt components, such as Qt Web Engine, which is ongoing, and hopefully I'll be able to merge in for the OTA 13 release. But otherwise, Qt 5.9.5 is available in Ubuntu 16.04, which is still in support, although it is in Universe. So we're kind of staying with that, which isn't much of an excuse at all. Up next.
Klubik, or I have very hard time
It's close
pronouncing that
enough.
name. I think that's close enough. Asked the question, is there any way to make calling faster? I mean, when you once push the call icon somewhere, like in the contacts application, the call should start immediately. Right now, you have to push the call icon once more in the phone app to start a call.
So I did a bit of testing on a couple of Android devices, and indeed, when you hit a phone number in contacts, the call starts immediately. So maybe that's something that could change in Ubuntu Touch. Well, it's something that could change. But that seems one of those tasks that will be very well done by a community member, and not something that we'll be able to look at on the team very quickly. What I can say is all of the apps are basically just opening a URL to tell the dialer to open. And it's very potentially possible that you could add like an argument to the URL, $start call, and handle that in the dialer so that you would be able to start the call automatically. So anything that says call this number, $start call, automatically starts the call. Whereas everything else, like links online, when you tap on those, it'll only cause the dialer to open to that number. That's kind of the skeleton of how that would be implemented if anyone wants to take a look into that. He also had a question, is there any way to use our favorite contacts in a more effective way? They are favorite contacts, so I think it should be easier to find and use them. When I want to call my favorite contact, I have to go into the Contacts app, switch to Favorites, choose that contact, and then click on the call icon in the phone app. What the heck? He didn't say that part.
What? Yeah, actually, this was a request by other people as well. At least we have one ticket about that, and there's also a pull request already open. Thanks again, Cybersheep, for the work. We just held it back a bit because we couldn't merge it into OTA 12 anymore. But now, after the release of OTA 12, it's good to go. So I think it just needs a little bit of review and testing, and then you will have on the start page of the dialer already a star for the favorites, and you can click there and just go to the contacts filtered by the favorite one. So it's not just one click, but we reduced the clicking and waiting and app switching a lot, I think. So yeah, looking forward to that one. I now think myself that it would be cool. and but I never noticed in the past that it is really quite cumbersome. Yeah, so let's see. Keep on the Develor RC channel to see it early. Otherwise, see it in OTA 13. Yeah. So, Phoenix Line Pirate with the Pine Phone. Did someone say Pine Phone? Yeah, there it is. Shipping just around the corner. Could you give us a quick update on what features should, and probably more importantly, what shouldn't be expected from the Pine Phone on day one? Well, that's a hard one.
Yes. So, as always, you can stay up to date on this on our GitLab over at gitlab.com/UBports, community ports, Pine Phone. In there, you'll find a listing of all the things that are or are not working right now. So that'll be the best and most up-to-date list as we continue to fix things. But as I said earlier, I would love to get some more testing. Get feedback on what exactly is going on with your phone, especially around calling. And that said, Marius has support for GPSD and assisted GPS, which GPSD is the only great NMEA client that we've found, hooking into Ubuntu Location Service so that you can use the GPS on the Pine Phone. With luck, we'll be able to merge that before they start arriving. Without luck, though, it'll be soon after release. So, otherwise, the things that have been working for a while are still working, and the things that have not are still not. I'm not going to pretend that it will be your daily driver yet, because there are things like battery issues that, as I said earlier, we want to make this thing your daily driver, so we aren't giving up on it.
No.
Don't worry. But when it hits your hands, it might not be, well, it won't be what you carry every day, unless you're really determined.
Yep.
Gizmo Chicken has a couple of questions. If I understood correctly, you mentioned during Ubuntu Touch Q&A 74 that the Pine Phone no longer relies on the Mir Client API. Did I understand that correctly? And if so, currently, what are the largest obstacles preventing removal of Mir Client API from the builds that require Hybris? Yes, so the Mir Client API is an old way of making a compositor and clients for the Mir desktop display manager and server. And it is being removed from Mir 2.0, but it has been generally getting deprecated throughout the 1.x releases. We have moved mostly off of Mir Client. Indeed, apps don't use the Mir Client API anymore, or Qt Ubuntu, which was the Qt Mir Client integration. However, the shell and the compositor still link to Mir Client to do some things inside the server. So it's not completely gone yet, but it is getting there. And indeed, the reason why it doesn't work on, or why we're still not using Wayland for client applications on Hybris ports, is because our graphics driver for Mir for Android, the platform, the Mir Android platform, doesn't yet support Wayland buffers and some other things around Wayland that need to be implemented before that can work. So it's focused toward Mir Client yet. We'll have to keep using that until that has been fixed. That's a pretty big job, for sure.
All right, so Gizmo Chicken has another question regarding the Pine Phone versus the newly announced Pine Tab. Will they each be running similar UT builds? And if not, which build, Pine Phone or the newly announced Pine Tab, will initially include more cutting-edge features?
So both the Pine Phone and the Pine Tab are built on the same Allwinner A64 platform. And indeed, images from one can almost exactly run on the other. With the exception being you need to change the device tree so that Linux knows what hardware it has and how it can talk to it. loading that at boot time would be something very interesting in deciding which platform we're on at boot time. So universal images will be a ways off. But in general, they run almost the exact same software. So any features enabled on one should work on the other. I'm not entirely sure what you're hinting at with cutting edge features, but there will be add-ons to the Pine tab eventually that may or may not work out of the box depending on how they're hooked up. So there's going to be adapter boards that you can hook up inside the Pine tab that they're still working on. They have announced that they would like to make one with an RTL SDR, so software-defined radio, a LTE modem, was it SATA, I believe, SSD reader. I should really know more about this because I work with them so closely. But my memory is not what it used to be. And there was one other add-on that I don't remember. But all of those should be coming for it, and depending on how they're hooked up, they may or may not work out of the box with Ubuntu Touch. But it's all looking very exciting with both of these devices, especially since they run almost the same software again. So that means we don't have to do the rework every time, which is really nice. Sap has a question. In the to-do list of OTA 13, there's a migration to Qt Web Engine 5.14, which is based on Chromium 7.7. Does this mean that at that point, progressive web apps will be supported on Ubuntu Touch? No. Unfortunately, Chromium isn't magic, and so having a newer version of Chromium doesn't automatically enable all the things that make progressive web apps work, like running in the background, or adding them to your home screen, or whatever it may be. Or launching them in a very special way that other things don't get launched in. So that is not something that will be automatically enabled, and indeed it would take quite a bit more work in the Morph browser to make that work. I'm especially interested in how the backgrounding stuff would work on Ubuntu Touch, because that could have very bad battery implications.
Yeah, so unfortunately, it's just a Chromium update in the background, not much more. But still, it's important. Because
it'll give you lots of new features.
And also your browser is the old messages and all that stuff. Unfortunately, the browser UA strings are being checked by all these nice services. So we need to keep up with the latest versions. Yeah. Good. Loops. That's also a nice username. Hello, Loops. Here wants to know, in recent months, weeks, there has been a noticeable interest from devs in UT that you have personally observed. And has that interest transformed into actual participation in the project, particularly on the OS code-based side of things, or is it a case of we still need more devs?
Well, of course, it's always a case of we still need more devs. There'll always be more work to do than there will be humans to do it, unfortunately. But yeah, we have been seeing more participation by people in core operating system stuff. Of course, there is kind of a symbiosis here of volunteers generally will be doing smaller projects that, can be done in, a week's free time when it comes around. Whereas we're around to do the review and testing and the bigger projects that require full-time work and things like that. So I think it's an interesting dynamic. We've kind of gone on the one side of the scale right now, and I'm overloaded with pull requests to merge and test. That's okay. It's a good problem to have.
So Ori88, Lumir in Ubuntu Unity Remix is considered a long-term plan to replace old packages and technologies that will probably no longer be supported in the future. Whoa, that's a long question. So basically, he wants to know, and I'm summing up a bit because we're having to cut it short. We have to introduce features that are not currently available in Lumiri for the transition and for feature parity. How difficult it is to add features such as global menu, progress bars, notification bubble in launch bar, etc. How difficult it is.
Well, it's very easy because all of those features are already in Lomiri.
Bing!
Canonical was aiming for feature parity with Unity 7 and 8, and indeed that's why when as you can see, our new Unity Lomiri looks more like Unity 7 than the old stuff did. I just slammed that into the table. All of the things that you've mentioned here, including progress bars on the launcher, notification bubbles in the launcher, and the global menu, do exist in the Lomiri code, and they need things to hook into them. So,
Cool.
I forget exactly what it is that hooks into the app menus. It might be a patch GTK for those apps, and it is definitely a custom QPA for Qt apps. But I don't exactly remember, and I don't know it off the top of my head. But that should enable the global menu, which does have touch support, I might add, to Unity, Lomiri. Oh boy, I'm never going to get this straight.
No. But you're the only one who really knows about it. I cannot help you at all. It just sounds like magic, so let's go there.
It is magic. All right, next up.
Hoping the next question from Ari88, hoping that all the changes converge in the same code, how will you avoid those useful functions in the desktop environment but uncomfortable in a smartphone or vice versa running the UX on the devices for which those features are not designed?
So this is the idea of consistent, not congruent, right? Just because something should function similarly on both things doesn't mean they have to be the exact same. So, for example, I don't have an example, but the
Sorry.
global menus have both the Unity 7 style, you put your mouse over the top left corner and you see the menus there, or the menu bar of the app, indeed. It doesn't just have to be the top left anymore. For desktop mouse use cases. And there's a touch menu that works almost exactly like the indicators for that side of things. So both interaction models are indeed available for global menus, and for things which should work differently between touch and mouse, we need to design around that. They don't have to be the exact same in every case, but they should work similarly enough that people understand, okay, this is that feature. This is the same thing that happens when I'm using this with a mouse that way. And finally, last but not least, what skills and knowledge does it take to modify Lomiri? Quizzing the room? Okay. Lomiri is a large, Qt QML project. So you got to know yourself some C++, you got to know yourself some JavaScript, and you got to know yourself some QML. The nice thing about the whole stack is that QtMir is above, well, is it above or below? Doesn't matter. It's beside Lomiri. And QtMir makes all of the desktop environment-y features work seemingly natively in QML code. So for example, windows are managed as objects in the QML and Qt scene graph, rather than as like some weird otherworldly thing. And objects like that can be moved around and animated just like their regular QML objects. So if you know a lot of QML, you can probably understand what's going on in Unity. Lomiri. Oh boy.
Yeah.
Of course, Lomiri itself, as I said earlier, is a large code base. There are a lot of things that could be done better, or things that were obviously done quickly in the interest of gaining feature parity with Unity 7, and could be redone. But on the whole, it is a really nice abstraction away from the actual Qt Mirror provides a nice abstraction away from all of the stuff Mirror is doing under the covers. So if you want to change some of that kind of stuff, you need more C++ and Qt internals knowledge. But if you're just working on the desktop environment, making animations, things like that, you only need the QML. So it's pretty cool. It's a very interesting stack, and I'm honestly glad we inherited it because it
works.
It's cool.
Oh yeah.
The way it works is cool, and how well it works is very nice.
Oh yes.
People are asking how close are we to feature parity with Unity 7. The issue is mainly in stability and expectations of a desktop Linux desktop as compared to the phone desktop that Lomiri has been for its entire life. So things like managing X applications and things doesn't work as well as it does in the Unity 7 indeed, but also the contemporary Wayland desktops. So, nice smooth wind down. So when will we get to 1804? At least is that the plan this year? Question from live chat. So for the transition from 1604, which is the current base of Ubuntu Touch, to a newer distribution, we're likely skipping 1804 and going straight to 2004. Well, in fact, we're almost definitely doing that.
Yep.
There are a number of things that need to be done before that, including work on making... Actually, a lot of the work in Debian going on now will improve that situation because things need to be done for systemd there. The upgrade to Qt 5.15 will be good for that because we'll be working with the newer Qt that'll be already in 2004 with luck. And other things that we're doing now are going to make that transition easier. I don't have a timeline for you. Sorry. But I can say that is something that is ongoing, even though it might not look like we are immediately doing that now. Because if we did immediately do that now, it would just kind of look like it was completely broken and useless.
Yeah.
Because it would be completely broken and useless. Nothing would work right. So it's an ongoing transition. Work we're doing today is making that transition possible. And indeed, making the team larger will make that easier. Not to keep hitting on this or anything. So again, thank you to everyone who's making that possible. Okay. I think that should do it. What do you all think? Got any questions you want to answer? No?
All fine.
No.
Nope.
Okay. Well, in that case, thank you everyone for joining us for the Ubuntu Touch Q&A. It's been a ride this time, and I have no idea what's been going on with our encoder, but we'll blame YouTube and let that happen.
Yep.
Sorry, Wayne, for having to edit it this week, but thank you for everything you do. And thank you also to Lionel for trying to follow along with us and make our show notes, which you'll have available on the UBports blog, hopefully this week.
Great. Thank you all.
You can find us on all kinds of social media, including Facebook, Twitter, Pixelfed, Mastodon, LinkedIn, Instagram, and Diaspora. And we also have a Telegram or Matrix News channel if you want to get news about us directly in your chat client. If you want to chat with us, you can find us on Matrix #UBportsMatrix.org or Telegram @UBports. Or for longer form content, you can head over to forums.ubports.com. You can find us in all those places. And indeed, you can ask questions for this very Q&A on forums.ubports.com. Thanks once again for joining us, and we'll see y'all in the next one. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.